Clearly.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, friends. Today's topic is Krishnamurti and Astavakra. Why I chose this topic? Because few years ago, somebody sent me this book called Astavakra Samhita. And when I started reading this book, I said, this Astavakra is like Krishnamurti. He is speaking from the state of freedom from the beginning to the end of this book. And it is a dialogue between two people, Astavakra and Janaka. And this Astavakra Gita is also called is Astavakra Gita, but it is different than Bhagavad Gita, because in Bhagavad Gita they also talk about devotion and karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. But Astavakra Gita doesn't talk about devotion and uh, doing the action, yeah, without the ego. It is pure knowledge base, just like Krishna ji also doesn't talk about devotion or karma and talks only about awareness. So we are all familiar with Krishna ji's teachings, and Krishna ji's teachings are that human beings are suffering from many problems, psychological problems like fear, anger, jealousy, loneliness, conflict. All these problems, Krishnaji says that all humanity is suffering from this problem, and the root of all this problem is the ego, the sense of I or me. And Krishnaji says that this sense of ego or me is coming from thinking. So, so one has to, if one wants to really see this, how these problems come within us, we have to be very extremely alert, silent, turn the attention inward, look at the thoughts, how they arise. And so the only instrument in Krishnamurti's teachings is this awareness or intelligence, which is not thinking or feeling. This awareness is in a different dimension. And because this awareness is not awakened in human beings, people continue to suffer from problems because they are not able to see the beginning of anger or fear or jealousy. So one needs an ongoing, effortless awareness, moment by moment, to be free in Krishnamurti's teachings. And Krishnaji talks a lot, many dialogues he had, but finally he is coming to this state of awareness, which is not thinking. And similarly, in Astavakra also is very similar. Let me tell you a little bit about who was Astavakra, because this is mentioned in Mahabharata and Ramayana also, that Astavakra was very knowledgeable from birth itself, that when he was in the womb of his mother, his father was a Pandit and he was reciting some Veda mantra. And this Astavakra from the womb, he said, Father, you are making some error in reciting Veda. And so the father got very angry with his son and he cursed his son and said that when you are born, you will very deformed body. There are 8 kind of deformities. So it will be very ugly looking. And so uh, Astavakra was born with these deformities, and his father once had a debate in the court of King Janaka, and his father was defeated. So, with a scholar called Vadin, and so Astavakra's father was punished, and he was sent somewhere under the water in the kingdom of Varuna, in the service of God Varuna. And then when Astavakra grew up, and when he was about 12 years old, he came to know that his father was under some kind of punishment. So Astavakra went to the court of king, and he wanted to defeat this Vadin who had defeated his father. So there was a debate, and in which Astavakra won the debate, and then his father was released from that punishment. And when the father came to know that Astavakra had saved his life, then the father said that if you take a bath in some river, you will be all right. And Astavakra body became all right. And he continued to be in the court of King Janak. And King Janak realized that Astavakra was a realized um, a human being, and Janaka was not free. And so Janaka asked Astavakra three questions. He asked, how can knowledge be acquired? How can liberation be attained? How is renunciation is possible? So there were three questions, and so Astavakra gives the knowledge, and Astavakra says that you are not the body, but you identify with your body. You are not even the mind, because you are not thinking. But beyond body and mind, what Astavakra says is the true self. Now, this word true self, which is used in Upanishads, it doesn't mean the ego. Ego is created by thinking, that self which Krishna ji is talking about. But Upanishad, the word true self, it means this choiceless awareness, which is not, it is beyond body and mind. And then Astavakra um, says even that this universe which we see with our eyes, with our senses, that is also not, it is a creation of the self, this true self, which is limitless, which is infinite, and this entire universe is coming from from the self, and this self cannot be destroyed. Universe will be destroyed, our body will come to an end, our mind will also come to an end, but this true self, which is very pure intelligence, it will not be destroyed, it remains. Only the body is changed. Um, After we die, we get a new body, but that self, it remains untouched. And Astavakra says self is unconditioned, changeless, formless, unfathomable. It cannot be, this true self is the only subject. Everything else is an object. Even our body is object, mind is an object, universe is an object, and the only subject is the true self, and that self cannot be made into an object. So only it can be realized, and it can be realized by very, very few people who can give their whole attention to looking inward, and it requires some kind of curiosity, aloneness, freedom to look. And some people are able to realize this self, true self, and then there are no problems. There is no problem even of dying. And even if some beautiful woman comes, you don't get attracted to it, or even if you are given a kingdom, you don't value, because this true self is the real freedom, and it is undestructible. And so when Janaka uh, heard these teachings in the first chapter of this book, Janak was a very good student, and he immediately realized, and Janaka started telling about his own freedom after listening. So Janaka says, I am spotless, I am tranquil, I am pure consciousness. Universe is emanating from this true self and is not different from the self. He gives various metaphor. Janaka says, like a rope and snake. When when we look at a rope in the darkness, if we are ignorant, we see at a snake. If we have a fear, but when the light is turned on, and we see that it is not a snake, it is just a rope. So our ignorance makes us feel that we are body, we are mind, and this universe is very, very real to us. It is because of the ignorance. And another metaphor it gives is like a wave which comes on the surface of the ocean, and that wave is not different from the ocean. The wave arises and then again subsides. The reality is the ocean, and the wave is just a appearance. So, similarly, the world which we see, the body and mind, they are appearance. The reality is the true self. And similarly, he gives many metaphors. Um, and he also says the root of our unhappiness is duality and ignorance of this self. The mind creates the world, and the world of name and form. So when the mind is really silent, everything is very as it is, and it doesn't affect us. But when there is a fear, anger, then the whole world, it affects us. And Astavakra, when he listens to Janaka, and the Astavakra tries to test the understanding of Janaka, and he says to Janaka that if you are really free, why you are attached to the wealth, because he was a king, and why you are attached to sensual objects, and why you are afraid of death, and why you are not free from duality. And then again, Janaka answers all these questions, and, and Janaka says that the man of self realization is beyond likes and dislikes. He is free from fear. And then it continues this dialogue, and Astavakra says many things about peace, wisdom, and all that. Now, how this is similar to Krishnaji's teachings? Because there are certain statement in this Astavakra Samhita. It says when there is this feeling of I, there is a bondage, attachment. It also says rituals and vows indicate a desire or an ego. So it discards all that ritual which many pandit they do. So it is not these rituals and vows which can lead us to freedom. And it also says be indifferent to the opinions of sages, yogis, saints. It means don't follow anybody. You have to find out for yourself. And that is what Krishnaji says. Don't follow anybody, not even Krishnamurti, because one has to find out for oneself the truth of what Astavakra is saying or what Krishnaji is saying. And even the desire to know should also be avoided. That means the desire to know, it means there is no freedom. So this is something like one has to get to the freedom very, very quickly, not through effort, not through time. And that is what Krishnaji also says, that it is not through time and effort that you can see yourself very, very clearly. And uh, also, Astavakra says, completely give up even contemplation and hold nothing in your mind. So he says, don't even meditate. That meditate can happen spontaneously. It is not that you make an effort to meditate, and that is what Krishnaji is also says, that meditation is when the meditator is not. That means the self which tries to meditate, that is not meditation. And Astavakra says you cannot be established in this self or pure awareness unless you forget all scriptures. That means by reading many books, you cannot realize the self. And that is what Krishnaji also says, throw away all the books and really turn the attention to your own mind, where you will see the real what is happening inside you. And when a person is able to see clearly one's own mind, then we can say, yes, what Krishnaji says is true, or what Astavakra says is true. So Astavakra is exactly like Krishnamurti, and Astavakra lived thousands of years ago, and he has said, don't follow anybody, find out for yourself, don't try to meditate. And also Astavakra says, let even Hari be your instructor. That means even the God is your instructor. You cannot, and unless you forget all, you cannot be established in the true self or pure awareness. So, no teacher can take you. You can read many books by Krishnamurti or Astavakra, but as long as you are not able to do it on your own, forgetting Astavakra and Krishnamurti and everybody else. And Astavakra says, rare in this world is one in whom impressions are not left of things which he has experienced, and who does not desire things which he has not yet experienced. That means freedom from the past and freedom from the future. All those experience one has, unless one forget all those experience and live in the present moment and not even think about the future, then there is this realization. So exactly like Krishna ji, that time cannot lead us, the past, which is thinking cannot lead us to freedom. Thinking is a problem, Krishna ji says. And my view is that thinking is a problem as long as that awareness or intelligence is not awakened. When this intelligence or awareness is awakened, one can think, one can imagine, one can do whatever one wants to do because one is aware that it is not illusion. So um, again, Astavakra says, rare in this world is the great souled one who is not desire of either enjoyment or liberation. So even there is no desire for moksha in Astavakra. Neither attraction nor aversion to dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So no attachment to anything, money, work, and moksha, and desire, sensual desire, all that. No conflict between the contemplation and non-contemplation. Free from delusion, dreaming, and dullness. So such a person doesn't feel dull. He's not dreaming, he's looking. And if he's dreaming, he can see the dream very clearly. So there are no illusions and no effort to meditate or to be active, but becomes meditative without any motive. And also it says the ignorant person constantly practice concentration and control of mind, but the wise abiding in the real self do not find anything to be done. So this is again like Krishnamurti. If you are free, you don't need to do anything. You can only see what is happening in the outside world and within yourself. And that seeing will be very, very clear. It will not uh, affect you in a negative way. You can, of course, see the beauty, freshness, newness. You can see, even you can see ugliness, but it will not affect you in a negative way. And then finally, in the last two chapters, Janaka also speaks about his own freedom, and he says, all doubts are removed. He says, for me, there is no dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. No moksha also for him. He said, I abide in my own glory. For me, now no past, no future, no present, no space, no eternity, no dreaming, no waking, no deep sleep, no turiya, the fourth state, no yoga, no wisdom. Self is free beyond thought and non thought. So Astavakra was a very good student, and Janaka was a very good student, and Astavakra was a very good teacher, and they both are speaking the same language. They both are free finally. So I think that is what Krishnaji's challenge is to us, is that don't take many, many years to study the teachings, study your own mind, and in that, you will really come to the direct perception. And once one gets this direct perception, we can understand Astavakra, we can understand Krishnamurti, we can understand any philosopher, Buddha and Kabira, and all that. So um, I like Astavakra because he discards everything. But maybe I would say that when people are having many problems, they cannot very quickly come to self-realization. Initially, there may be some effort is required to look inward, and then watching it very clearly, testing the teachings in the daily life of relationship, and when there is a fear comes or anger comes, to look at very clearly when it is happening. So um, time may be required, but not many years and repeating what Krishnamurti is saying or Astavakra, quoting Krishnamurti. I feel that is second hand, quoting Krishnamurti. One has to speak from one's own understanding, and then I think that is real freedom is. Okay, I have finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshad sir. Dinesh Waghmare.
Are you able to hear my voice clearly?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Harshad sir. He has almost covered many things of Astavakra. And I would also like to add something and other part also or other aspect also in this. Uh, we have talked enough about Krishnamurti. Now, Astavakra, of course, when I will be talking, there will be some repetition, but you have to consider that. Astavakra, basically, the Astavakra message is a dialogue between King Janak and Astavakra, in which King Janak asks many questions to Astavakra and Astavakra answers them. If we see in respect of JK, who superficially seems to criticize the tradition, then this is one of the traditional Vedanta treatise which covers some aspect of Vedanta. This doesn't cover the total aspects, but some aspects of the Vedanta. In this, main discussion is on how to one gets knowledge, freedom, and vairagya, means detachment, renunciation, and dispassion. This also was the question from the Janak. Here, knowledge means specific knowledge of the truth, which gives freedom. Astavakra says to Janak that if you want freedom, then leave the vices and hold the virtues. For freedom, please consider that you are not earth, not water, not fire, not air, and not space. For freedom, consider yourself as witness consciousness. This witness consciousness is the standard Vedanta word, and JK has used it in a different way. That also we will discuss. For freedom, consider yourself as witness consciousness. If you consider yourself as separate from body and you exist only in consciousness, then you will be instantaneously happy, peaceful, and get freedom from bondage. Now, with this, dialogue starts and it covers the whole subject, which is quite lengthy and cannot be covered in one session. Now, here we see that there is a similarity with JK and dissimilarities with JK. The main reason is in his dialogue is between Janak and Astavakra. Janak was already a wise person, a good student, as Harshad sir said, and already done the basic homework. Whereas in case of JK, he has addressed the mob as well as the persons from various spheres who were knowledgeable in their field, but not having done in-depth working in spirituality. This is my views. These are my views. In case of JK, since he has addressed even students also, so he has talked about flowering in goodness, which is in a way substitute to becoming. Whereas this question doesn't arise in case of Janak. So mainly if we see, as we talked in the past, the difference is because of individuality and the situation. Astavakra Gita, as Harshad sir said, there are number of Gitas. And why Gita? Because uh, we have covered actually our this
Dinesh.
I will continue later on.
Your voice is breaking.
No, there is no light here now.
Okay.
Light
So
has
you can
gone.
continue with the audio if you want, or you can.
No, anybody else can cover, and then I will again come back to you. Hello, Mr. Modak.
Okay, okay. Uh, Prasad sir.
Namaste, sir. I am on a slightly different wavelength. For me, you can compare Krishnaji with anybody. You will find some similarities, some dissimilarities. This type of exercise has a limited value. We have to understand Krishnaji per se. Understand him as he has taught us. No point in comparing him with X, Y, Z. Not that X, Y, Z are not realized souls or anything like that. It is, they are realized souls, could be. But what actually use is it for us to know that Astavakra is a very realized soul? His statements are only statements for us. We don't feel them on our pulse. If somebody says there is only consciousness which is real and everything else is unreal, it is only a statement for us. Gita says the same thing, even though there may be other things like there may be a reference to karma yoga, devotion, and jnana yoga and all that. Astavakra may not have all those references. He may talk of freedom from the beginning to the end. Start with the freedom, end with freedom. Maybe that. But what actually use is it for me? I have to, for example, somewhere he says, Sakaram Amrutam Vidhi. Sakaram Amrutam Vidhi. Nirakaram tu Nischalam. Etatva Tattvopadesena na punadbhava sambhavaha. You see, from his angle, he is saying Sakaram is Amrutam. Whereas Krishnaji makes us observe an ant creeping up a tree, or a parrot kind of flying from the tree and coming back to the tree. All sorts of things. He is focused on nature as we see it. Whereas in the Indian tradition, what you see, sakaram, nature, you are a celibate, you don't look at the face of a woman or the face of a man. That type of restrictions we have in our tradition. Krishnaji has broken all those traditions. He says, enjoy the life. See the beauty of the life. See the beauty. So, like that, there can be differences. There can be similarities also. Somewhere he says, Tvaya vyaptamidam viswam. Tvayi protam yatharthataha. It says, you pervade the universe. And this universe is strung or woven only in you. You see, it may be true, sir. I am not saying it is untrue. For Astavakra, it is a reality which he must have felt on his pulse. We can't read the mind of a great person like Astavakra. All those are stories for us, like that he kind of got a curse from his father. So there were 8 deformities in his body. He got rid of them by defeating the other guy who defeated his father. And when his father became kind of pleased with his son, he released him from the curse. So all these are stories which only divert us from our selfish activities. For me, what is important is ourself. How your small self, not the big soul, big consciousness pervading the entire universe. It may be true, sir, but until I realize it, until it comes into my experience, for me, it has a limited value. Of course, I have great appreciation for this book, Astavakra Gita. I have great appreciation. And for example, he says somewhere, he says, Aham katteti, aham katte chaham mana, mahaprishna damsitaha, naham katteti, viswasamrutam pitva, sukhi bhava. Be happy. That is the cry of Astavakra. Because I have not read the entire thing. I have got a small taste of that book. You see this sloka which I have read just now. Aham katteti. All of us are bitten by that black serpent. What is that? That I have done the job. I have talked. I have made a point. I have built this bridge. Everywhere I have done the job. I have supported my family. Because of me, my children have grown so big. They are educated and all that. Everywhere we feel that self. That is what Krishnaji is saying. That is what Astavakra has said also. There are similarities, no doubt about it. You think, yes, Krishnaji is saying the same thing. But for me, the rest of the things where he differs, like I said, the Sakaram, it is unreal. You know, there are differences like that. I mean, it is for a dissertation, for a PhD in a university, this comparison is good. But for me, who has just to be a seeker, somebody who is a seeker, for me, these books, these references, Krishnaji spoke for the world. Not that, but Astavakra is a product of Indian tradition. Krishnaji is a product of not simply Indian tradition. He is addressing the world audience, English-speaking crowd also, Muslims also, you know. So we should not truncate him by making him totally Indian. These are some of my comments, sir. Thank you.
Thank
can
you,
speak
Prasad, sir.
I can speak now. Continue.
Yeah.
Shall I continue?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, you can.
First of all, I would like to answer the Prasad sir's question. Basically, Astavakra Gita is only conversation between Janak and Astavakra, and Janak wanted only freedom. And he was not only the good student, but the best student. Whereas the others are not free from their desires and all that. Because here, Vairagya Shabda word is also coming. So that one has to understand that unless you are having some homework on yourself, you cannot go to that place. So only seeker or only a person who is interested cannot reach to that position unless he does some homework. And one has to understand that that's why I said again and again that this is individuality and the situation. The situation in case of JK was different, and the situation in case of Astavakra is different. So one has to understand this. Again, language is different. Now he says Sakaram is unreal. So Sakaram is unreal means it is changeable. In Krishnaji's word, it is time bound. In the Shankaracharya's word, it is time bound. Means with the time, it will come, remain and go. Whereas the unmanifested or unknown, we can say, unmanifested will remain permanent. So that one has to understand that unmanifested, if we see, then that is the base of the manifested. And unless one understands this, he cannot move ahead. So one has to understand this. Another thing is Astavakra was, as he said, Prasad sir also accepted that he was talking some 1,000 years back. At that time, the situation was entirely different. So situation also we have to see. Okay, now I am continuing and I am repeating some of my words. In case of JK, since he has to address even students also, so he has talked about flowering in goodness, which is in a way substitute to becoming. Whereas this question doesn't arise in case of Janak, because Janak was already a king, and he has seen the world. Was having experience of the world, and he has thought a lot of about this issue. So in case of Janak, the case was different. So mainly if we see, as we talked in the past, the difference is because of the individuality and the situation. Astavakra Gita straightway talks of Atma and its characteristics Atma means that dimension which Harshad sir was also saying. Actually, in Vedanta, they have covered it with Jivatma. And once one is free, then he goes to the basically Atma. This the Atma, when it is covered or under bondage, or it is under bondage, then it is Jivatma. And once it is free, then it becomes Atma. Which this Atma is basically total, total of everything. Means he is the ultimate. And its characteristics, whereas JK gives pointer towards that dimension. And this Astavakra straightway talks about that dimension, looking to Janak. JK starts with conditioning, information, then knowledge, insight, intelligence, then wisdom, and the other dimension, and addresses how to tackle hurdles by choiceless awareness and attention, self-knowing, etc. Whereas Astavakra directly states to drop all vices and hold the virtues. Now, JK says this Atma, or whatever name you give to it, is your imagination. And by imagination, concept, idea, etc., you cannot find truth. The same thing Prasad was asking. Mr. Prasad was saying in another way that what is this, how it is used to me, what I can do with this statement. But whereas if you are that capable, or you are the, they use the word adhikari. If you are Uttam adhikari, then you can understand that thing. If you are not that Uttam adhikari, or mediocre, or some middle type man who is having the desires also and many other liabilities also, then you cannot understand, or you cannot reach to that position, or go for experiencing of it. So you can not find truth. So first one has to reach that silence of mind, inner order, clarity, etc., which can perceive that truth. JK's teachings are based on negation. In a way, Ashtavakra's message is also recommends eliminating the mithya, false. Although I'm using the word false, but it is not false. It is anirvachaniya, means indescribable, inexpressible, or undefinable. This mithya is changeable part of Maya. Means all the manifested world is under the bondage of time. Astavakra says first you become enlightened and then use worldly things in appropriate way as per your prarabdha. Means first you become enlightened and then you can use the worldly things as per as comes to you. The situation comes to you. Means your hardened karma. He uses the word. JK says you can use worldly things after understanding their whole structure and considering their proper place. So this is a little bit difference. Why this difference is coming? Because he knows, JK was knowing that the people who are coming to him was having many desires left, many liabilities are there, and they are not so pure, and their mind is not mind is not having that clarity and all that. Anyway, JK in a way negates thought. JK in a way negates thought. Whereas Astavakra uses thought for enlightenment. This is very important difference. And this is again because of the same thing. Because JK knows that the people don't understand or don't know the proper place of thought. So he says that you negate the thought and you first you reach to the silence and then you move ahead, or you will know automatically. Whereas in case of Janak was capable of this thing. So Astavakra says first you become enlightened directly, and then you can use the worldly things that will not affect you. JK in a way negates thought, whereas Astavakra uses thought for enlightenment. In a way, this is because Janak is a best disciple. Both Astavakra and JK talks of non-duality. This is important. That this Harshad sir has also covered this thing. Both Astavakra and JK talks of non-duality. Astavakra says this tattva knowledge, Aštavakra's words are, this tattva knowledge uh, makes, it is very important statement. Aštavakra says this tattva knowledge makes talkative, intellectual and industrialist men dumb, rigid and lazy. So this is not for the man who is desirous of bhog, who desires bhog or worldly enjoyment. It is very clear. Before enlightenment, if he is desirous of bhog or any other thing, then this is not for him. Both says observer is observed, but JK meaning is based on content of consciousness. Whereas Astavakra is referring to the ultimate intelligence energy, Dio, the Chaitanya. Likewise, there are many points which can be discussed, but since time is limited, I stop here. Thank you.
Pradeep sir.
Yes. So we have talked a lot about what Janak said, what Astavakra said. Some shlokas are also there. So language and words verbosity. With that, we have been discussing such an important thing. But if you want to see it simply, and that depends on your simplicity. If I am not simple, I will make everything in a very complicated jigsaw way and then try to convey something which gets totally oblivious. You see, if you are simple, you know that rejection of duality, Advait Vedant, अगर ये शब्द ना भी लाएंगे, you know that wherever there is fragmentation, there is conflict. What is there? What is there to discuss about it? Duality and this rejection of duality, it's a mental construct. So many people have said it. Then consciousness, there is one consciousness, and the conditioned consciousness and the unconditioned consciousness. This was asked once. I asked this, Krishna ji se pucha tha. He said unconditional, unconditioned consciousness, awareness. You see, so simple it is, but are you simple? Am I simple? If I want to project everything I know as words and knowledge and people and personality and that time and this time and the future time, then naturally I am not simple. I am not a simple person. I complicate the whole thing and find out differences in this and that, similarities in this and that. Simple thing, if all of them are saying whole, they talk of Krishna ji or Astavakra. Whole, when the moment whole is disturbed, you see, then fragmentation takes place, and we have n number of fragmentations in us through centuries old conditioning. So can I be simple? Can I be simple? Or I want to retain all my knowledge and then talk? These two simple things, that any duality, and this has been said in even Buddhism, even considering yourself as different is the biggest ignorance. Now, what is there to discuss about it? Do you not realize this? Do I not realize it? The moment you realize it, you are there timelessly. That's why Krishnamurti talked about instant. Likewise, Astavakra also never talks about time, and he never talks about karma. He never talks about this, that. But we love because we love these things in ourselves. These concepts are very, very dear to us, all of and most of the people. So we want to retain them and then talk. As Astavakra or as Krishnamurti, we are talking like them only, as if they said it and you were there. The simplicity is that duality creates problems. Any person who is dual, who considers himself different than others, is bound to be in conflict and suffering. This is what I think, because we can simply, that's why it comes back to seeing simply. Seeing simply, he says, can you see it? All of them, they say it. Can you see it? Can you see it? Or can you discuss it? Nobody said it. But people used to come to all of them, seers, to discuss their individual problems. And that's why they were tackled individually. So this is what I think. Reality is not like this. Can you see it like this? It's not an object. Truth is not an object. So can we simplify our understanding? Then things are not difficult, not complicated at all to me. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.
Harshad sir.
Okay. Yes, many people have lived in this country, India, and they all were quite individual, and their life style was different. Krishnamurti's style is different. Time is different. But if you go to the root of what they are saying, it is same. This freedom is a freedom from the self or ego. But their language are different. And though people who lived thousands of years ago, what they have said, it attracts many people even today. Like many foreigners are coming to India to learn about Indian philosophy, whether it's Buddha or Kabira or Astavakra, and so many people have lived. So um, different people, different teachers affect different people. So people who are following Krishnamurti only, they would not like to listen to any other teacher. And they will say, Krishnamurti has said everything. Same way, people who are Buddhist, they will say Buddha is sufficient for them. They don't need to go into Krishnamurti or Astavakra like that. So when you become a follower of a one particular teacher, then you would not like to compare. You find that one teacher has said everything, and that is fine, I think. But a person who has really found something of what these teachers are saying, they can look at everything. They can look at Kabira, or they can look at Astavakra, they can look at Buddha, Ramakrishna, or Ramana, and so on. They are all talking about the freedom from this ego thinking. And their language is different, but the real thing is that one has to really look within oneself. And when there is a clarity, then there is no confusion whether you are listening to somebody talking about Buddha or Kabir or Astavakra or Krishnamurti. One can listen. What is behind the word? One can really see it when there is freedom. But without freedom, I think even Krishnamurti can become very confusing for people when he discards everything, even the time, effort, and all that. But he speaks for a long, long period, long dialogues, and people continue to listen to him year after year, and they feel that they are getting something slowly. But Krishnamurti says it is not like that. Understanding is not gradual. Once you really see it, you don't need to read Krishnamurti again. And that is what Astavakra also says, that once you really understand, you don't need Astavakra also. We are talking about all this because we have a program arranged. But otherwise, it's not necessary. The important thing, as Pradeep ji said, is to look in our daily life what is happening within us and learning directly and forgetting all the scriptures, even Krishnamurti, what he has said, and that is a real freedom. And so we are talking only just because it's a kind of a intellectual exercise and it is a program is arranged. But otherwise, all this becomes knowledge only, then that knowledge can also bind us. So we have to discard. And that is what Krishnaji says, Astavakra says, no knowledge, freedom, real freedom is to just look whatever is happening. Okay. Nature, yes, Krishnaji talked a lot about nature in his commentaries on living, but we don't see that in traditional literature. But in the paintings, we see a lot of nature. When any god is painted, we see mountains and birds and animals and all the trees and flowers. And nature is, uh, Indian tradition worships nature, I would say. But not the modern. After we became independent and modern, then we are destroying nature also. So in the olden days, nature was worshipped also. Trees were worshipped, animals were worshipped, all that. And we have gods, also animal gods, like elephant or Ganesha. Yes, and many gods, yes, with with an animal head. And Durga, goddess, is riding on a tiger. It indicates something, you know. So nature is abundant in tradition also. Okay, I finish right now. Yeah.
Dinesh, you have raised hand.
There is one very important point in Astavakra Gita. In one shlok, he said the nature, the characteristic of this element or tattva is asti bhati priyata naam and roop, mean existence, awareness, and love, and name and image. So out of this, name and image are changeable, and they are time bound. So you discard them and remain with the first three. So this also is very close to Krishnamurti saying that you discard the thought and or word and image, because this holds you basically in the samsara. That's what he said. Another thing, what our Vermaji was saying, why one should compare or why one should discuss about many this thing. See, if one is stuck up, say he is if he is able to get everything from JK, then it's okay, fine. But if he is stuck up or he feels that I am not getting through, I will not progressing now further by reading JK or understanding JK, then he can use other sages and he can go further, because this actually this is like a ocean, the literature and this thing, and as per his the problem or his what we can say issue which is troubling him, he can go ahead by reading the other sages also, as Harshad sir is also saying. So it is not that you understand one thing and you say that there is no problem and you are making the things complicated. For individual, this may make the things complicated, but for others, this may be a solution to his problem. Thank you.
Lakshmi ji, please unmute.
Namaste ji. Here there is no electricity. Okay. Truth is truth. Wherever, if we are truth seekers, either in Astavakra Gita or Yoga Vasishta or Tripura Rahasyam or Krishnamurti's teachings, if you realize the truth, you can find the truth anywhere. It won't prevent us to realize the truth by studying other things. And another thing is, we should not be closed, conditioned with Krishnamurti's teaching also. And some people are becoming in that way, neither Krishnamurti's teaching nor anything they understand, and in a different path, in a destructive way they are going. So it is essential for the truth-seeking mind is very, very essential. So if we have the urge to find out the truth, automatically, once you realize, everywhere you realize, wherever it is, in any book or anywhere we can realize the truth, it won't prevent us. But the thing is what Krishnamurti is saying, the honesty is very much required. The deeper honesty in the spiritual path is very much required. If you study the other things, because we have been studying from last 5 years, I have been conducting the classes and telling Astavakra Gita, Yoga Vasishta, Tripura Rahasya, and I spoke the similarities between Tripura Rahasya, which is said by Dattatreya to Parsurama, and Krishnamurti's teaching. And it won't prevent us to realize the truth, because rather sometimes it may be more comprehensive also. And as Harshad ji took this subject, I'm very happy, because people must not be conditioned with one thing only. Anywhere, we must open our eyes to find the truth. Truth is revealed everywhere and anywhere. It cannot be limited to one place or one person or anything. And that is why we must not be conditioned with Krishnamurti's terminology also. To reveal the truth, whatever Krishnamurti ji said, that don't say that Krishnamurti said, because it is, we have to make that as our own subject. We have to realize the truth inside. That is what he's saying. So this type of things, whatever Harshad ji chose, is very essential. And I feel, as Dinesh Waghmare ji said, in those days, it was revealed through Astavakra, or in those days, it was revealed through Krishna, Lord Krishna, or Lord Buddha. The same truth is revealed, but the what we say approach is different, and the terminology is different. It depends on the historical background and the people, civilization and the culture of the people. But the same thing is taught everywhere. We have to, if you realize that everywhere you find the same truth is revealed according to the historical and cultural background, the terminology may differ, truth is one. And that's what I'm finding whenever I read Krishnamurti, the same thing he's saying in a different terminology. But present day people, as scientifically they are more, our logical thinking is more, Krishnamurti's teaching is very applicable for so many people. But until and unless we have the perception or realization or that experience without observed is there, we cannot even, we are lingering to the words and terminology of the Krishnamurti also. The experience reveals in, then only we can talk anything our own way. So that is important, not the terminology. It's Krishnamurti is not important, and he is also not suggesting such type of things. So I am happy that Harshad ji chose this topic, and he told in a better way. In one place, he says, Janaka, after realization, say, what for I meditate when I am that? What for I meditate? Because the meditator is not a different person. He is that.
Right.
And who is the meditator? So the three things are one. That is why it's good. And if we see the depth of all these things, I find once you realize any teaching, you can realize, you can understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi ji. Prasad sir.
Sir, I want a small comment. I have a little difference about India worshipping nature. The way Krishnaji has observed nature is, I think, slightly different from what we get from Indian paintings. What we get in paintings is something which is in a particular mode. Lord Krishna, let us say, Gopal Krishna, he is tending cattle, and the cattle come and they are before him in a particular pose. That is all something traditional, something beautiful, but it is a particular mold. It is not observing a particular cow. It is observing cow, not a particular cow. Whereas Krishnaji observes a particular cow, a particular bull, and it is highly realistic. Whereas what you get in the paintings, either it is a peacock or a cow or trees or whatever, or, that is something traditional, artistic tradition, the tradition of art. That is something somewhat different from observing a flower, particular flower, observing an autumnal leaf falling onto the ground. That is what we get from Krishnaji. Your eye becomes keen to observe a beggar, this fellow on the street, a hyacinth, like that. He is making you observe nature, whereas Indian tradition makes you escape from reality. Lord Shiva, he is in a particular mode. He is a particular figure. Same thing about Rama, Lord Rama. He is in a particular mold with a bow and all that, and with a muscular body and all that. That is escaping from reality. Similarly, about our mind, the envy in us, the jealousy in us. So, our acquisitiveness, our power mongering. You want position, you want affluence, you want a bigger car. These are the facts of life which we cannot ignore. And without settling these things, there is no meditation. All the other meditation is only a kind of escapism. We have been escaping. For God's sake, let us not escape, at least after Krishnaji has told us what is a reality, what is our reality. When I want to keep on talking, that is myself. That is what Krishnaji tells us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prasad sir. Shiva Kumar.
Yeah, I don't know. Time is left. If maybe the next person want to come in, he can go ahead, or else I'll talk. Ravi Kaushal had
Three,
raised
four
the hand.
minutes are there. You can be brief
Okay,
and say
fine.
what you want to say.
Okay, sir. Okay. Basically, we had some discussion on tradition as such, right? Yes, Krishnamurti pointed tradition in the sense all this Vedanta Upanishad thing. But then he goes beyond that. Okay, when he says, basically when he explains all this, he wants to bring to the point that tradition is basically accumulated knowledge, beliefs, practices, all that what we have. And he goes down to the extent when he said tradition, the past is a tradition, where thought itself is a tradition. The simple thing is we are not separating when we say you are the world, the entire human consciousness, you are the human consciousness, right? So you are not separating from the human consciousness and seeing the consciousness. Right? When it's a human consciousness, it's not the consciousness of 100 years, it's not the consciousness of 1,000 years, it's not the consciousness of 10,000 years. Entire human consciousness includes all Astavakra, every other thing also comes in that, right? Very simple. Human consciousness includes everything. But now, what is that Krishnamurti? The bottom line there is what is this consciousness? What it finally boils down to that thought level. Can you see that the past, that tradition, the thought is acting as a tradition there, right? The past is past. When you say tradition is past, thought is past, and that is where the real issue comes in, right? So, can I go beyond language? Language itself, beyond language, can I see the entire human consciousness and move away from that? That is what, in the depth of Krishnamurti talking, right? So, in that sense, one sometimes, there are people okay, Krishnamurti itself is a tradition. People say because Krishnamurti said tradition, get out of the tradition, all that part. But then Krishnamurti himself is a tradition. If I follow, if you follow anybody, it's a waste of energy. If you follow anybody, it's a waste of energy, is what Krishnamurti said. But then because we have adjusted to the lingo of Krishnamurti and we have got used to it for 30, 40 years, somehow my conditioning is not allowing to be open to anything and everything. The final point is, can you be open to everything? Just the way can I be open to the nature, hand and all things what was mentioned? Can I be open to what is happening? Suddenly, if I see a person with a sannyasi with a saffron cloth, what would the Krishnamurti person first thing he'll get into mind? If a person who has not understood, he will not see that person. Oh, he's a tradition person. I will not even see the person with the saffron cloth because he's a tradition. That has gone into my mind. So where is that seeing happening? Seeing without the words, seeing without thought. What is that seeing? Where can I be open? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk more time because there are other people. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Dinesh ji, what you want to say? Please be brief.
Okay. Prasad sir was saying that there is no interest about the nature in tradition, or people are not saying the people. as Krishnamurti said that there are insects and there are birds and all that, and you see that. My question is, what is puja then? When we do the on Nag Panchami, we do the puja of Nag. Is it not the same thing? Because we are spending, earlier we were used to spend a lot of time on that puja. Similarly, Dol Gyaras or similarly other things. So there are on all Purans, they are having all initial avatars are of nature only. And then Ram and Krishna has come. Anyway, my question also is, we have to go into deep. Then only we can understand all these things. Otherwise, there is no point, because Krishnamurti said, and we have seen it from one aspect only or one direction only. That's why this problem comes. Another thing is, all rituals, all your yagyas and all that are for worldly gains. Whereas people are interested in, we are talking of adhyatma, spirituality. So as far as spirituality is concerned, these rituals and this thing has got very or no importance at all. But if you want the worldly gains and worldly this thing, then these come into picture. Even Astavakra has confirmed somewhere in this the same thing. So one has to see that, and Astavakra was yogi also. That also he has mentioned. So up to the enlightenment point, all other things are prior to enlightenment point. All things are not of that use. Once you get the enlightenment, so we have to understand in a deeper, go deep and then understand the things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh ji. Harshad sir, please, last comment from you. So time has come now.
Yes, it seems that people who are following Krishnamurti, they also get conditioned by Krishnamurti also. But a person who has really understood Krishnamurti, they will find everything very interesting, whether it's a Buddha or other teachers, can really see clearly what other teachers are also saying. It's that not necessary even to read Krishnamurti or a Buddha or anybody, because looking at oneself is very, very interesting. And then looking at the world is beautiful. You know, everything is there when your mind is very silent and very clear. Because some people who are trying to understand, they say that there is nothing apart from thinking and feeling. And they say this awareness is also a product of thinking, because they have really not come to that state of coming out from thinking and feeling, and this awareness, a pure awareness. And that is the word Astavakra uses, is the self with capital S. And Krishnamurti uses choiceless awareness or intelligence. And it is not a fiction, this awareness. Some people are able to see very clearly everything. And until then, there will be lots of doubts, lots of questions. And so I find that people who read Krishnamurti for many, many years, they are still asking many questions instead of just looking at the question itself. And nobody else can answer your question. You have to find, because the question comes from you, you have to find out why this question comes. Because there is no understanding, there is kind of restlessness, there is a desire to know. That's why question comes. Otherwise, there is only seeing whatever is happening. And that is the real beauty, that seeing clearly everything. So I would say I agree with Lakshmi ji when she said that we should not get just only talk about Krishnamurti. We have been talking for 5 years about Krishnamurti, and we are getting exhausted also. So something new, some other people who have also said something very beautiful, we can look at it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshad sir. For Ravi Kaushalji, we will take your comments or something on the next lecture, sir, because time has come to end it. Thanks everybody for participation.
Thank
and
you.
we will have to end the meeting.